Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan and today I'm going to be discussing 10 players to watch at the 2020 World Juniors. Now the 2020 World Juniors are almost upon us, and whether it comes to 2020 prospects or prospects in general, there are tons of players in this tournament that are worth watching. But which 10 players do I see as the most worthwhile that you should watch, and which players do I see having the biggest impact on this tournament? Watch till the end for all my 10 picks, and of course subscribe if you're new. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I don't think I've ever been more excited for a World Juniors than I have been this year, because this year's World Juniors is looking to be absolutely fantastic. There are multiple teams that I could see going and winning it all, and there are a ton of players, whether it comes to 2020, 2019, or even 2018 draft players, that are looking to have huge impacts in this World Juniors. And there's gonna be a lot of talent to choose from. You'll see it throughout my 10 picks, but there is so much to look forward to, and it was very hard only picking 10 players. But getting us started with the 10 players you need to watch, and for my first player, I'm going to go with 2020 projected first round pick in the NHL draft, that being Alexis Lafreniere. Now, Alexis Lafreniere, age 18, left winger on Team Canada, is projected to have a brilliant tournament. Now, he played in last year's World Juniors, wasn't too amazing, didn't get a huge opportunity, but this year will likely get a top line spot and will destroy defenses. It is very likely that this will be his only World Juniors. I don't see him playing in the World Juniors next year. He'll likely be destroying NHL defenses next year, but this year will be one to watch, just for him specifically. I'm a Team USA fan. It's kind of contrary to the jersey I'm wearing, but either way, Alexis Lafreniere will be electric and will be one of the MVPs of this tournament, 100%. And Alexis Lafreniere will get a lot of attention regardless, but being the first overall pick, he's somebody that will be the spotlight on Team Canada, and rightfully so. He likely will be one of the best players for Team Canada, lighting the lamp throughout the whole tournament. Now, on the lines of 2020 prospects, and also on the topic of offense generators, we now go into my second player that you need to watch in this year's World Juniors on the same team of Team Canada, that being Quinton Byfield. Now, the projected second overall pick in the 2020 draft is looking to also have a brilliant tournament. Now, Byfield is in a lot more similar of a situation to Lafreniere in last year's World Juniors. He likely won't get too much playing time, but as a 17-year-old being in this tournament, that is still super impressive, and I wouldn't be surprised if he makes the most of his ice time, because that's just what Quinton Byfield does. And with Quinton Byfield being just under 2 points per game in the OHL, I still think he'll have a pretty solid impact with Team Canada. I'm just hoping they give him some power play time, hopefully some top 6 time here or there, because I think he does deserve it in this tournament. He is still 17 years old, and I don't think he'll be back for the World Juniors next year. I'm just hoping that he gets a good opportunity to shine, because the spotlight will be on Alexis Lafreniere, but I still think there should be a lot of attention given to Byfield. I think he'll have a great tournament offensively. I think he'll be solid for Team Canada and will be one of their main offensive point generators. Of course, this all depends on the ice time, but when Quinton Byfield is on the ice, everybody should be paying attention. And now, going on to my third player that you need to watch at this year's World Juniors, I have Caufield of Team USA. Now, Caufield is one of the more obvious ones, but in this year's tournament, I don't think anybody would be surprised if he starts scoring goals, because that's just what Caufield does. At 18 years old, he'll be the main Habs prospect in this World Juniors, which, let alone that, will give him a lot of attention. But Caufield is a guy that I think with Team USA will have solid line mates, a great amount of ice time as he should, and will be lighting up lamps throughout this whole tournament like it is no problem. And we saw in last year's U18 World Juniors just how good Caufield was, and now in the U20s this year, I think he's looking to do some great damage. Again, on paper, I think Team USA might have the best roster, and Caufield is a huge reason why. He's been unbelievable in the NCAA so far this season, and I think we'll translate that almost perfectly with Team USA this year. And now, moving on to my fourth player that you need to watch in this year's World Juniors, going from a Habs prospect and now on to a Canucks prospect, that being Vasily Podkolzin for Team Russia. Now, Podkolzin was drafted 10th overall back in 2019, and I think this year is looking to have a huge impact for Russia. Now, he played in last year's World Juniors and was pretty solid, not fantastic, not bad either, was just kind of there at points, but this year is looking to get a huge role with Team Russia. Podkolzin in his history is usually very good in tournaments, and this year I think he'll kick it to an even bigger level. And I'm not really even a huge fan of Vasily Podkolzin. I didn't have him in my top 15 in 2019. I don't think I would have him still to this day. But Podkolzin is a guy that, regardless of what you think about him, will put out a show there. And in this World Juniors, a guy like that will be dependent on Team Russia. And I see them going to the gold medal game, losing to Canada, as I said in my predictions just a couple of days ago. And I see Podkolzin being a fairly big piece in that. He might not be the MVP or anything, but I do see him showing up relatively well. And now, going on to my 5th prospect that you need to watch in the 2020 World Juniors, I have Team Finland young stud, Aatu Räty. Now, Räty is special because he's 17 years old, but he turned 17 just a month ago, which means that, of course, he's in the 2021 NHL draft. We look at Byfield, Lafreniere as 2020 prospects, pretty young guys. You don't usually see prospects in their draft year, at least it's not a normal thing, really having big roles with their teams in the World Juniors. But Räty could get like a third-line spot, and his draft is 2 years away. Now, the 17-year-old center, I don't think will be a first liner or anything for Team Finland, but I think he could get a pretty sizable opportunity. He's going to be the first Finnish player ever drafted first overall in the NHL draft ever, and I think he will do that in 2021. And again, his draft is still a year out, but I would still expect him to have a pretty good tournament on himself. He might not get first line time or even power play time, but when Räty is on the ice, it'll be special to see, and the guy will definitely show his skills. And now, moving on to the 6th player that you need to watch in this year's World Junior Championships. I'm going to go my first German on this list, and yes, there is more. 6th overall pick in 2019, Moritz Seider. Now, the 18-year-old defenseman, I think, is looking to have a great tournament on his hands. I don't see Germany winning a gold medal or anything, but if they do upset here and there, look for Moritz Seider to be the MVP for that team and their main anchor. Now, Moritz Seider started out this season in the AHL, the Grand Rapids Griffins, and has had a pretty good season on his hands, especially for an 18-year-old defenseman. And in this World Juniors, I see him being one of the best defensemen in this tournament. Offensively, defensively, Seider does really bring it all, and I do see him having a very big impact in being the best player on Team Germany. And they have a couple of great other players, one other that I'll mention in this 10, but Moritz Seider is the main guy for Team Germany, and I think will play like it this season. And you know what? It's just a perfect transition to the next player you need to watch, and the next German player that you need to watch, baby. And going to the next one, I have Tim Stützle. Now, Tim Stützle, I think, is going to be one of the most underrated players heading into these World Juniors. On Team Germany, I think he's their best forward. It isn't really close, and I think he'll do some big damage. He could be a potential top 5 pick in this next 2020 NHL draft, and I think he'll show a lot of people why he is that talented this year. I don't think he's going to score a bajillion points, but the guy will get a ton of ice time, a ton of opportunity, and I think it will be deserved this time around. And now on to the 8th player to watch in this year's World Juniors, going to the Swede, the first Swede in this top 10, that being 2020 prospect Lucas Raymond. Now, you could have Lucas Raymond or Alexander Holtz, honestly just alternating between the two, but I picked Lucas Raymond because I think he is super interesting heading into these World Juniors. Raymond is predicted by many to be the 3rd overall pick in the 2020 draft. Hasn't had an amazing SHL season, but that's mostly due to opportunity. He hasn't gotten much ice time, and when he does get the ice time, he usually performs with it. But with this Team Sweden team, I think he could get a fairly big amount of ice time, and I think will prove his team quite wrong. I think the offense will be there, and I think he will show his skills to the best of his ability. Now, the problem is that Team Sweden has a very solid offense with guys like Samuel Vegamo, Niels Hoglander. Guys like that are going to be eating a lot of ice time. But in Lucas Raymond's case, I still think he'll find ways to get on the power play, get some good top 6 time, and I think he will get that. He'll earn his way to that. There was an injury just a couple weeks ago that might have sidelined him for this tournament, but he's good to go, he's cleared, and he is healthy. And I think he's ready to do some damage and clear his name and prove himself as one of the best prospects in the 2020 draft. And now, going on to my 9th player that you need to watch in this year's World Juniors, going on to the next Super Swede, I have Rasmus Sandin. Now, the first round pick back in 2018 by Toronto, this is his last year of eligibility. He played on the World Junior team last year, was absolutely brilliant, and I feel this year he can take those next steps to just become Sweden's best defenseman, but also to become one of the tournament's best defensemen as well. I could totally see him winning tournament MVP if the tournament does go Sweden's way, and I do see him getting a ton of ice time. It likely will be more the defensive end that the team does rely on him to be at that point, but as an offensive guy, he can do everything and will destroy other teams in every single area. I think he might be not only just one of the best defensemen in this tournament, but one of the best players in this tournament, and that alone is worthy of watching. And now, going on to my final and 10th player that you need to watch. I'm begging you, please, you need to watch this guy in the World Juniors this year. That being Russian goalie Yaroslav Askarov. And here is why. Askarov is projected to not just be the best goalie in the 2020 draft, but to be one of the best players in the 2020 draft. At this point, for some people, it's not a reach that he could be a top 5 pick. There's so many teams that are in need of a goalie that he could be projected to be in the top 5 easily. And he's a guy that I see being one of the best goalies in this tournament. Again, I see Rush doing very, very well, and I see Askarov being a huge part of that. He might not be the best goalie in the tournament, but I think he definitely will be up there. And if there is any goalie who you can rely on to especially perform in tournaments, Yaroslav Askarov is your guy. In last year's U18 World Juniors, he played 6 games and got a .916 save percentage. But those stats are very impressive, especially considering the defense that Russia had in that tournament. He was fantastic and was one of the best goalies in that tournament. And this year, I see it being the same for him. Of course, this is a different thing. It's the U20 World Juniors, but Team Russia has a pretty solid defense. And I see Askarov, even when that defense crumbles, still being one of the best up there. And he's going to be an exciting guy to watch too. He's not just a boring goalie out there doing nothing. He can make some brilliant saves and keep you on your toes. And for a lot of teams facing him, I don't exactly pity him, because to score goals against him isn't exactly the easiest thing ever. But whether it's Askarov or Lafreniere or whoever I mentioned in this top 10, anybody that likes hockey, that especially likes hockey prospects, should be tuning into this World Juniors. I'll be streaming a lot of these games on this channel if you want to stick for it, and reacting to a lot of the stuff. I'll be recapping as much as I can, because I think this year's World Juniors is going to be freaking fantastic. With how many great players are here, with how many great teams are assembled, it's going to be a World Juniors for the ages to close out the 2010s decade. But of course, with this video, I need to hear y'all's thoughts down in those comments down below. Let me know what you think about my picks, what you agree and disagree with, and let me know one player who you are excited to see in this year's tournament. But if y'all want some more Grav videos just like this one, I would suggest you click on this playlist right here to watch all of my IIHF World Junior coverage and everything, all in one playlist. But that'll be it for today, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Comment down below your thoughts on my 10 players, what you agree and disagree with, and your favorite players to watch in this year's tournament. My name is Nathan, and I'll see y'all in the next video or stream. Share this video. I forgot to say that. Goodbye.